Everybody's going wild at this crazy new dance style. Throw your hands up and put your laughing face. Put your heart in the hands of the new Nazi Western state. I don't know who I am. Who I am, I don't know. Who I am, I don't know. Who I Everybody's got a child, every child running wild. Take a pill and try to escape, try to float out of here and try to drift into space. I don't know who I am. Who I am, I don't know.
Are we good? Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct and distinguished pleasure to be Lorcan Murray, introducing you to what promises to be a scintillating, a scandalous, a surreptitious matchup in the quarter-final between the French champions Tchac going up against a bit of an amalgamation of the Italian champions Cusb 51 drawing from their training squad and picking up a couple of Clapham pickups just for good measure. I am joined by the indispensably inimitable Hannah Pendlebury. Hannah, are you as excited as me?
Yes, I'm so excited for this game, Lorcan. It should prove to be a bit of a scintillating one. I had the pleasure of watching Tchac earlier this morning. They were all looking on good form. They had an extremely patient end zone offense. But always nice to see the Italians bringing certainly a lot of flavor and spice to the field, as they're renowned for doing so. So hopefully we can see some nice cool offense under the defensive Italian pressure for this first point.
I would describe that defense as saucy, as here comes Tchac looking to get things started in a positive fashion, centering to middle of the pitch, and it's Espita with the disc. Looking around for options under some pressure. And you can see early on Lafada coming out with his own, trying to stymie ever so slightly that Tchac offense, but they're just so calm under pressure. Espita just linking up a little bit with Ulan. And Ulan looking to the middle of the pitch, can't quite get it, but he takes the easy pass to the free Moy. And Moy looking again, back to Ulan. Ulan in the middle of the pitch. And he spreads that out to that talismanic player, Bosse, one of the real champions of this Tchac side in his, well, very apparent hat. An easy way to notice him from far away. He's got big grabs, he's got big throws, but he is not alone in that department on the Tchac side, Hannah.
Oh, certainly not, Lorcan. I'd back pretty much any player on this field to come up with the goods on offense or defense, and that is why they're in the quarterfinal.
It's actually a little bit of a surprise. A lot of people thought this would be the final when the teams were first announced. There's a beautiful shot to the end zone. It's being chased down, but brilliantly sniffed out and snuffed out by the streaking form of Lorenzo Panzavolta. That is the little Panzavolta, the younger brother on the team. So, what looked like a very calm opening exchange seems to have led to a turnover.
So it does, Lorcan. I honestly thought that the disc may have had enough on it for Płocki to make a little extra bit on that, but wasn't to be.
So now Arturo Laffi, the captain of the under-23 Italian side with their silver medals. Will Martin thinks about doing the out-of-bounds backhand hook, decides against it. Murray probably won't. He'll just go for it. No, he goes for the dump, and there's an awful lot of float on that, asking a lot of Panzervolta, but the man can answer. And with aplomb, Laffi puts it down to him, and he snatches it away from the streaking defensive figure of Abita. Although there is a travel code, so Lafata are going to have to go back. And this is that lightning-quick offense we've come to expect from the Italians.
Yes, indeed. Plenty of speed and agility amongst the Cusb Lafata players. Obviously out of Bologna. And the talking about talismanic players, there's a certain player that's about to catch the frisbee. It's another rather renowned.
Noam Il Duce puts up the huge hook, chased after, and comfortably collected by Andre Beghili.
That was an explosive throw, if ever there was. I think Bosse just flying to try and block that one, putting his body on the ground, but nothing can stop the power of that hand cannon.
I was surprised Valentin Hulin looked like he had the favourable position, but he wasn't quite able to get there. Beghili using his wiles, using his intelligence, using the body, getting in the way and getting the D, or getting the score even.
I think it was some good body positioning from Milan, really. He kind of came out and then went back in, sort of like a little kind of curve on it at the end, forcing the defender to stay in front of him, and good box.
Very good boxing out. And the opening score is a break for Lafata 51.
We shall certainly see how Tchac can respond to that one.
It is interesting. I really enjoy this Lafata 51 D-line. I know some of the bigger players people might recognize straight away, the likes of Davide Mori. They might recognize Arturo Laffi as well, or if they don't, they certainly should, because they're going to have to get used to hearing that name. And of course, Will Martin of Clapham and Irish Open team fame is a pickup for them at this tournament. But there's a lot of other great players. Francesco Panzervolta, we already saw what his younger brother Lorenzo could do. So it'll be very interesting to see how they perform in this game. And again, sticking with that zone where they're just trying to occupy space and make sure they're always guarding a man in that space. And you can see here Tchac taking their time, getting it to Sokolski, and he immediately launches one deep. Panzervolta's got a lot of distance to make up, and he does! Oh. An emphatic block.
Yeah, it seemed like he was holding position very well, Abita, and then just at that very last minute, the tweak was made, and comes up with the block. Absolutely sensational.
I thought that was gone. I thought it was like, oh, Panzervolta's way too far away. That's fine. That's Abita's all day. He can just block him out. But he had the position.
We just spoke about it, though, Lorcan. We just spoke about how rapid the Italians are.
So rapid. So difficult to slow down, and, well, virtually impossible to slow down, really. And this is something that we've seen from them, the 1-6 stack. You see Davide Mori trying to set up. Will Martin's the one who wants it straight away. And there's the deep cut. Although they decide against it, instead opting to go back into the middle to Laffi. He's got an awful lot of space on the open side, and he uses it. Back into the hands of Davide Mori. He's waiting for somebody to go deep. He doesn't have to wait long. That's the mismatch they've been looking for. But excellent positioning from number 0.
Espita there, about almost a head height smaller than his mark. Really, really sensational read.
Just drew him across.
Yeah, did what he needed to do. Didn't have the reach, had to play smart.
And that is what Tchac will need to do, a comfortable throw into the waiting hands of Mole. Mole plays it down the field. Look how quickly they are. Bosse, Mole, back out to him. He's on the sideline looking maybe to get back inside, and Lafata holding onto that zone, but now they're tightening back into person-to-person defense. And then they expand right back out. The fluidity of this zone is so impressive. Roble forced to play it back into the middle to Bosse. Do something fancy with it, Bosse. The fans at home scream. He responds with a no, not right now. I'm just going to make the right choice. And here they are. Espita opts to pop it back, and you can see Davide Mori is fired up, yelling at his players. You know where you need to be. You know when you need to be there. So why aren't you there?
Yes, using all of his energy through his vocal cords on that one.
Roble to Bosse, and Bosse plays a beautiful around pass. And this is that quick Tchac offense that they like to get rolling. Bosse sitting back in the handler position, exactly where he wants to be, running the show. Espita, who's had a very, very strong opening few exchanges, all things considered. And they back to Hulin. That is a comfortable catch. I am honestly a little bit surprised he was able to make it so well. But Sokolski with the score.
Yeah, he sort of almost blazed in there like an ice skater, you know? Like almost like that was the kind of side position of the body. Manages to take the snag inside the end zone. Nice footwork.
Almost had to reach backwards in time to get that catch. As you notice, it is not the most accurate. And here we see that fantastic D by Banzavolta.
Love how both players still are heads up and have another swipe at the second time round.
And that awareness in Banzavolta to just make sure that it goes down and it hits that dirt. So now we get a look at the O-line for Lafada 51 for the first time in this game. A big man you want to be looking out for, Loritz Hjermetslev, who's going to be playing with Cusb Lafada this season. He's there in the red headband. Had a stellar performance on the stream earlier this morning, so you know when the camera is on, he starts to show off, and that's something to look forward to. And again, they're going to lean on their experienced handlers here. Michel Nudi, almost double the age of some of the younger players on this team. They get it into the middle, and there's Hjermetslev straight away. Plays it comfortably around, a smooth, nice pass. And just look how quick these Italians move the disc down the pitch. And Trombetti launches that one, awful lot of float on it. So it's Hjermetslev going up against Gello.
Oh, and it's a D for the French.
And that's exactly the kind of play they needed. You're putting up 50-50 balls on your own offensive possessions, and you're not able to bring them down, which means if Lafada are going to make the same mistakes, you have to give them the same punishment.
Certainly do, Lorcan. And Clément Gelot there with an excellent read.
Awful lot of hang on that disc. Wasn't the best of deliveries from Trombetti.
Yeah. I mean, but at this level, you have to have the confidence that your player's going to go back it and go get it.
I do love that excuse. It's like, at this level, the player should be able to go get it. It's like, at this level, the throw should be accurate. But I agree 100%. That is receiver errors. Here comes Tchac looking to get that break back. Kochi looking around for options, and none really becoming apparent too quickly, so he's forced to go back to the dump.
It's fine. Those Tchac seem to be plenty comfortable finding their options. Oh, and a big one.
I'm loving this. Hjermetslev is now going to have to go up in a battle against Chevalier. And that's what I'm talking about. Gets position, stays strong in it, and just works it down. Now Tom White, another ex-Clapham player picking up with Lafada 51 for this tournament.
He is a giant human being.
In every sense of the word, a giant on the pitch. One of the older members on this squad, and an unfortunate drop bouncing out of the hands of the intended receiver there. Felici couldn't quite corral it. So now here comes Tchac in the opposite direction, once again being led by Guillot. He puts it back. Swing it all the way around comfortably. Bichon with the disc. And Bichon, that is on a platter. And it is ate up wittingly by Volast.
Yes, Volast in the earlier game we saw over on the stream on field 2. Really superbly athletic player. I'm not surprised really to see that much level of separation between him and the defense. What a man.
What a throw from Bichon.
Yeah. Also, watch out for his excellent action man rolls.
Oh,
not so much diving for the disc, it's just rolling over. It's
Okay.
very stylish.
Well, as long as he can pull it off. I've seen some people do that in the past, and it's always looked a little bit, shall we say, dangereux.
Très dangereux. Dangereux. I think.
Les cousins dangereux.
Les hommes dangereux. Oh, le cochon, ouais. Why are we
So
talking about pigs?
let's take a quick break away from our horribly ham-fisted attempts at French and move right back into this game. Tchac are after getting the score and returning serve to their side. 2-1, back in force. Excellent response by the Tchac D-line. First time that the O-line came out for Lafada, and they give up a break.
Indeed. I mean, that score was money in the bank. So again, we'll see, like you say, the O-line coming out. See what we can do.
As Nudi centering it to Laffy. You see Laffy's come off the D-line, now taking up a place on the O-line. I mean, there's nothing the man can't do, so why would you not use that resource to excess? And there's Tom White getting a big under for a big man. And he pops it back into the middle. Nice little back play by Nudi, who's just going to make the right decision every single time. Laffy to Mori. Mori thinks about launching it. Says no, goes to the easy open to Tom White instead. Now Tom White's looking around for a couple of options himself. Gets one in the form of Nudi, who just keeps making himself available for that free dump, releasing the pressure that Tchac are able to exert downfield. And Davide Mori every time falling over to get that one to White. And the Mori-White connection is very much alive. Beautiful hammer across to Hjermetslev. And Hjermetslev goes for the big swing, but a bit too ambitious. Tchac slammed the door.
Yeah, perfect heads-up play there from Chevalier. Just almost behind himself, knocking the disc out of the air with his right hand. Great awareness. I'm really enjoying with the offense, the Italians, the size of their cuts. Really using the entirety of the field, and managing to not get in each other's way whilst doing it.
And here's a huge shot all the way downfield. Guillot is underneath it, but can't bring it in. Davide Mori just putting enough pressure on it, and the wind picked up right as we were talking about the shot. You're absolutely right with those cuts, and I think that comes down to the amount of work they put in the gym. I remember talking to Davide Mori about this. There's an interview on Ultiworld, Eurozone, and in it he spends about 10 minutes going through the frankly insane level of preparation that he puts these players through. And it's not just the national teams, these are the players from the youth systems. And Laffy takes off, Tom White obliges. He's chasing that one down. Always going to get there first, looking around for a few options. And somehow, out of 3 players, Felici's the one who gets the most free. They couldn't clamp him, they couldn't stop him. Somebody should have tripped him, but gets the score.
No, that was bizarre. It was kind of like they'd actually given up on even trying to the disc that had gone up. Just allowing him that. And both of them then go to the end zone, try and prevent the score. And just neither of them able to contain whatsoever. Like you say, couldn't clamp him, couldn't follow him. Looking a little bit useless. But I'm not trying to say no disrespect to them. I'm sure they're both very good defenders. But we'll see that again. They just like tail off. They realize he's got the perfect read and then just miscommunication.
Felici just steps in front of them and gets the nice, easy front corner pop. Something that Lafada are incredibly skilled at doing is that close quarters cutting where it's right in front of the end zone and they just duke, dink, dive, duck, dive, dodge, get the disc.
Duck, dodge, dive. If you can
dodge, duck,
if you can dodge
dive
frisbee.
and disc.
Yeah. But it's good to see. I mean, so they can do both then. We've seen them do the very large, expansive cutting. You can see them do the very short field cutting. Is there anything these sides cannot do, Lorcan?
Well, we'll have to wait and find out as this game progresses. So now a huge pull going all the way down the pitch. Yeah, time to think about it before you had to go get that one. And there's Espita playing it across Ulan with the disc, looking around, surveying, seeing what's available. Again, Lafada are out here with that zone where they're always trying to mark somebody. You see Laffy is just looking for people to cover, and that hammer is never coming close. Might even damage our equipment. That is a big defensive play by Lafada, shutting down every immediate option and forcing the throw.
You know what, Lorcan? I think he was trying to throw that one to us. He's like, hey, you guys are on my team, right?
They forgot, like, I'm friends with Lafada. I'm not good enough to play for them. I'm not good enough to play for, like, Red Bulls.
You have to know your limits.
I do. Painfully aware of them at times, and Laffy centers that one into the middle. Hermitslav, a man who refuses to accept any limits. Although I suppose he hasn't quite hit them yet, so how would he know? They're playing like this back and forth. Laffy with it, a beautiful break all the way across to Mori, and he's in front of the end zone. There's the hammer. Something was always coming, but that was not the best decision, and even worse execution.
Yes, indeed. That was not the path that you really need to hit that receiver at all. Should have thrown a flick blade. That's what I should have done.
But such is life. Flick blade would have been nice. Not that many blades going up this weekend, and
oh, there have been in the women's division, Lorcan. Certainly
really?
have on this pitch. I mean, you've got the under 20 ladies.
Well, they'll throw anything, I suppose, as Bosse playing with Ulan. Ulan with the disc in the middle of the pitch. Back to Bosse. Bosse centers it.
Conservative ultimate right now.
Taking their time, just dishing it back and forth. Tchac have lost one game so far in this tournament. It was a universe point loss to the Munich Ultimate Club. A huge win for that team.
Yeah, I checked that game out earlier. It was literally layout bids everywhere, left, right, and center. Had to leave early so I could come back to the stream, but had been doing a little bit of snooping.
I see, always doing research if you're not doing work.
Yeah, let's
Tireless
call
Hannah
it
Pendlebury.
research. Let's call it research.
So now they've spread it out to the opposite sideline, and right now running things is Bulliot right in the middle. Just looking relaxed, taking his time. And now you see Sokolski. Get it down to Espita, looking for a pop, none are coming, but he knows he has Gulliot there the whole time, and Gulliot lashes that one across to Bosse. And back in the middle to Sokolski. Sokolski looks around, waiting for someone to come free. The tantalizing scuba fake, if only he'd thrown it. But there's a call for a travel.
Yeah, that throw that you said was absolutely lashed. Definitely had to be. When you're swinging it around this zone, speed and agility, you gotta.
Like you said, they're going to start bidding. They're going to start laying out. If you give them any little sniff of a disc, they're going to try and bite it.
Oh yes, like puppies. It's like, oh, it's a frisbee.
Like rabid puppies. You want to see rabid puppies? You see the Red Bulls play. It was a pleasure. And there's Bosse in the middle. It's a dangerous place to have him, and that was always going to be the result. Hitting Espita for the score.
And he celebrates that with the absolute vigor that is required to keep your spirits up in this game and try and swing that momentum in your favor. But lovely patient offense there, though. I really enjoyed that zone offense.
So Tchac back on serve and holding on to it this time with the offensive hold. And that was really necessary to try and settle themselves. And you can't really see it right now on the sideline. As here we just have another look at Bosse throwing it to Espida for the score. Right there on the sideline, there was just a little bit of discussion happening between Espida and Toscani as they were talking about the call, working things out, making sure, because this does have the potential to be a very intense game. Quarterfinal of Tom's tourney, things could start really getting hot-blooded, especially with these two sides and how much they want this. A lot of people predicted this as a potential final when the team rosters were first announced. Although upon seeing that it was a mixture of La Fada and 051, some people retracted their initial certainty. Some people,
some people, is a president company included, or?
I became more skeptical, but it was a healthy skepticism, which is something that I think is lacking in most people these days. Critical thought. But they have proven that athletes combined with a couple of very skilled throwers can really get it done. There's Nudi running the show, as is his want, as has been his want since 2004, but that one just bobbles up out of the hands of the intended receiver. An unfortunate mistake. Scozzari, not known for those. And Pave immediately launches it. Scozzari almost gets it, but can't because of the layout form. Bichon sweeps in, steals it away, and throws the assist to Roble.
Oh, be still my beating heart. I thought that was a miscue for sure, back to the red shirt, but Bichon, what a play.
Man, that looked like it was Bischoff, but I tell you what, Bichon.
Oh, look, and I do so enjoy the way you describe these things. But look at that adjustment. Absolute monster. And just casually stands up and just throws it.
No, that's fine. There's an open man there. No, it's fine. I didn't just do something. Conservation of greatness, my arse. The man's just showing up and showing out right now.
That's the thing. He doesn't have to conserve it because he has so much of it. It's a problem, you know?
Yeah, he does something excellent and it's just standard.
It's just dishing it left, right, and center.
That is one of the big B's. Beckel, Bichon, Bosse.
So, Lorcan, question for you then: how many of the bees are here this weekend?
Currently, there's definitely those three, and they are getting the other two back when they are making the trip over from the AUDL. But that is currently where they are. So right now they're just going to have to make do with Bosse, Bichon, and Becquet. But I mean, how bad?
I mean, you know,
it's not. It's
three,
not
three out of
the
5.
worst thing that's ever happened.
3 out of 5 ain't bad. I mean, I once saw Jose. You familiar with the band 5? The boy band 5.
You knew 5?
No, not personally.
I thought you said you were familiar with them. I love the band 5.
They used to occasionally turn up to gigs with. We lovingly termed them 3/5. But so yeah, 3Bs ain't bad.
Nice little shout out to.
Bit of 90s pop.
To 5, like, oh, they were fantastic. They got me into music. And Laffy, looking around for options, looking to get his team into this game, plays it to Newbie. And Newbie plays that down the line, but Tom White was not looking. Suffered a little bit of a blackout, and now there is the immediate call for a timeout on the part of Guillot, showing his experience. One of the older players on this team. I think he might actually be the oldest at 35 years.
Well, he's not the oldest man on the pitch, I can confirm. Now, that title goes to Michel Moody at the tender age of 38. How anyone at the age of 38 is still quite... I mean, I don't like... You wouldn't be able to tell, would you? I mean, I wouldn't, to be fair, I shouldn't write off anybody at the age of 38, but although most mainstream sports do.
That is generally where people start to trail off outside of golf, but there's a couple of people, the likes of Tom Brady, they're able to just keep producing, like the likes of Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, to borrow a few more basketball people, LeBron James. These are people who get into those elder stages and they just take care of themselves. The other side of it is, and it's the same thing that you can say for Mattia Marzo as well. Both players have been playing for Cusb Fada since 2004. Both are now involved in that transitionary period that's so integral to Bologna's culture, where the experienced players take a step back from the more competitive side of things and really start giving to the training, start raising these players up. So those two players, Nubi and Marzo, who you'll see on the O-line quite a lot, they have grown in age, but with those long teeth comes a lot of experience, and it really helps temper the fiery nature of the young Italians. And you could see from how involved Nubi has been all the time, he is the anchor that is hoping to drag down Tchac, which is obviously Something that they are more used to being the anchors on the pitch.
Yes, indeed. And I mean, it's such a problem in Ultimate, the idea of the coaching system, certainly in the European side, it's not really quite where perhaps one would like it to be for the development of the sport.
No, I've always felt that was just down to the age of the sport. But I mean, Frisbee's around since 1986. But you can see some of the older clubs, they do have those veteran people who come in and they do coach, or certainly when they start to take things seriously. The likes of Clapham even picking up a coach for this season after having one in EUCF.
Indeed, indeed, with his excellent moustache.
It is. It's possibly the finest moustache in Ultimate.
Whew, big call.
Big call for a man who has a moustache. Guillaume
Speaking of big calls.
gets across to Gurel. Back to Guillaume. And Guillaume just standing there in his trousers. That's how you know a man knows what they're doing with the disc.
Oh,
somehow! It looked like Gravity had that one locked up. But I tell you who had other ideas. Chevalier. Pass back to Guillaume. And was that inbounds or out of bounds?
I think it might have been a little bit of a force out if it was out of bounds.
Miroslav seems to agree with you. See number 87, Frédéric Merle, in the middle of the pitch. Gets it back. He has Guillaume. Decides against it. And instead takes that little pop around. And Tchac just really taking their time in front of this end zone. Not forcing anything. Willing to sacrifice the distance. Oh, and it's a beautiful layout catch from Guillaume. Looked like he was always going to get there in the right at the end, just bidding. And Grel, he's sick of waiting, but Basse can get up big! And that's exactly what he's done.
Okay, I may need a little lie down after that insane layout from Guillaume right in front of the commentary booth. Oh.
Right into the face of the camera. I think he could tell. And he slowed down just a little bit so he could show off for the camera.
Such a show off, but what a play. I mean, if we can get to see that again, I would be very pleased. Here we go. Oh, just, that was great. I have no more words to say, look, and that was just great.
Well, here's what I love. He gets up, and we were talking about this earlier from Bichon as well, that presence of mind to take the open pass. And then, I mean, you can float stuff up near Basse. He's going to go get it.
Oh, heck yeah. And it's the thing of, like, you know, if you can have, you say, that poise and that presence of mind, the defense are probably like, oh, dude, that was an incredible... They're distracted. They're on the back foot. If you can bang it straight in. What a great grab.
So, Lafada, after going 1-0 up, have now suffered a 4 or 5-1 run on the part of Tchac. 3 in a row just now.
It's getting spicy. Tchac really putting to work and smothering the Italians.
They really are doing a fantastic job of taking advantage of the opportunities the Italians have given them. So it'll be interesting to see how they're going to respond now. They center it into the middle. Waiting there with boys. Hermitslav gets it on the undercut. Looking around for options. Decides to go back. That's Carasini. Gives it to Will Martin. And Will Martin lashes it deep, but that was always low. Never got to the height it needed to skip over the stack, and Volas just steps in and takes it. And here comes Tchac looking to score another point in a row, their 4th potentially. Waiting, Abita not forcing anything. Drops it back, and there's a beautiful arcing flick. Guillaume hits the back corner perfectly, and Gello gets the score.
See, there was a hammer thrown into that same end zone, into a very similar space. And I said, that's not the throw to make. You throw a roll curve flick.
I was saying
that was a perfect demonstration of the throw you need.
I was saying earlier on that there wasn't that many blades in my experience, and I am happy to be proven wrong, as right now Tchac are slicing through their opposition.
But there we go, 6-2.
That's a big deficit for Tchac to have built in incredibly quick succession.
Oh, yes, indeed. They are going out and taking this game away. They're not waiting. They're not trying to be patient and just wait for the Italians to make any mistakes. They're going to work. I'm excited. Want to see more of this.
Definitely. 6-2, and it's felt much closer than that. Almost like Lafada playing into Tchac's hands.
Well, I mean, that hug literally went straight into the hands of Wallace. So, I mean, you could argue.
And that's a little bit of a problem for Will Martin, as he was hoping to send it deep. He did have a cutter. Now that one is going to drift out of bounds, and you can see just how relaxed Laffy is. The amount of pressure he's been under on Frisbee pitches, it just doesn't really affect him anymore. Takes his time. He's like, I'm going to get this. I'm going to break it. And then I'm going to start things off for us. And that's not an easy task.
No, certainly not. I think actually one of the adjustments that Tchac have done really well to kind of stifle the Italians is the Italians don't really seem, early game, lots of good long shots coming off. Now, not so much. So we'll see. Side stack happening.
And that's Laffy to White in the middle of the pitch. We've seen that side stack from them throughout this tournament. And sometimes they like to switch the side and then hit the break with an undercut. Although right now things have broken down ever so slightly. Davide Mori just reaching out a hand and taking that one down. A little bit of a blade to White. We know White's got a whole array of throws, and that's just one of them. Magnificently weighted and a beautiful pop over the top. That is fantastic. Fantastic response from Bologna, and a big shout out to Nicolo Felici. It wasn't the easiest of grabs, and it was just such a sensuous pass afterwards.
Ooh, I like that word indeed. Sensuous ultimate frisbee indeed. It was a tough one to D, that final pass. Because having seriously White rip that big backhand across, I almost thought it was going to overshoot, but absolute snag there. And just the defender unable to catch up.
It was a very, very good take from Felici. I honestly thought Davide Mori's pass to White was almost a bit too bladey, but then I was clearly wrong. Things were blocked for me by the camera. That man never makes a mistake.
Never.
I mean, we all make mistakes. He's like the Pope. He's infallible.
Did you say like the Pope? Wow, that's an excellent compliment. Does he have a Pope mobile, a Jeep Wrangler too?
Yeah, they do. They all show up in that same bus that they drive from Bologna. So now, they've gotten one back. They've made it 6-3. That was the offensive hold they've been searching for the past 10 minutes. Now they have it. What would you like to see on the defensive end to try and shut down Tchac's, well, virility, for lack of a better term?
Virility. I know. Certainly Tchac's offense does seem very virile indeed. And so I think from the Italians, I'd like to see them come out with that strong fire and passion that they typically tend to have. I don't know, use their height more, I think. Like we saw that slightly zony earlier on in the game that really tended to make them throw lots and lots of passes and that cause some errors. So
they seem to have gone against it as Espita launches one deep. He's a few people underneath it, but it looks like it's going to come down to a battle between Mori and Sokolski. And it's one that Bologna are able to win. This is the exact kind of play that they needed to get back into it. Laffy has the disc, he has Hermitslav, and he hits him comfortably. Will Martin trying to generate an under, and Laffy makes his defender dive. Espita hits the dirt, but that one he was expecting Will Martin to keep coming, and he didn't. Bosse sneaks in and takes it away. So now here comes Tchac. They get a second look at offensive hold, and that's not the kind of thing Bologna can get away with at this level, at this tournament, as there's Bosse with a casual flick. Almost too casual, but it turns out to be just casual enough.
But a travel call on the throw will bring that one back.
I love that. I disagree, but these things are difficult. Like, he caught it, and I thought he had the foot, and he threw it in the same motion. Roble was able to chase it down and score. I was convinced that was going out of bounds for a while, but it goes back, and this is not where you want Bosse. Middle of the pitch, looking into the end zone. About every throw you can think of, he has. Calls the contact on Mori. And we know that these Italians like their physical marks. They like to let the thrower know that they're there, which I am a huge proponent of.
I'm not so sure, Lurkin. It is a non-contact sport after all.
It's a partial contact sport. Espita with the disc. And he floats that one around to Bosse. Mori's underneath it.
Oh!
They both retreated, and a huge layout here. That couldn't have been more necessary. And who else but Panza Volta, the younger brother. Absolutely fantastic stuff from Lorenzo.
Yeah, that was a hell of a D. And in this game, I mean, you could have let that one go to ground and be like, no, I think that's probably, my team's done enough. But nope, you really do have to put every nail in the coffin in these types of games.
And you can see Tchac were sneaking around, looking to get a bit of their own on the disc. So Panza Volta really did have to make that play. And so here comes Mori in the opposite direction with the disc. Thinks about the huck, says no to it. I really thought he was going to launch that one. Laffy says he doesn't want the Hermitslav cut, but he takes it at a far more difficult throw, but he just has everything. So it's fine for him. They center it back into Fogliardi. And he plays it down to Martin. Martin's downfield, not normally where he is. And now as he sees the cutters all come around and past him, he gets it to Tom White. Laffy's trying to get free with just that nice, quick cutting directly in front of the handler. You're not allowed to do it unless you are very good at it, as Laffy plays it around the back of Houlon. And now White with the scuba. to Hermitslav. Hermitslav tries to rescue it. It was maybe a backhand would have done in that situation, but I don't want to discredit Scoobers. And there's the quick foul call. Davide Murray doesn't try to fight it at all. He says, yep, 100%. And that's 2 turnovers from this Bologna D-line. You can't play like that and expect to beat Tchac. You need to punch in these opportunities.
You certainly do, because that is what Tchac has been doing on the other side when they've been on defense. Certainly, I was very surprised that they did not take timeout there. They did not take the that deep shot when Tom White was streaking deep.
Forgive me, Roble, they already called a timeout, I think, so...
Adds 2 to the stall count.
It does. He picked it up immediately. I think some people had moved, so there's a call of violation. I understand why Roble was doing that, though. He's like, no, we mess up here and we let them right back into this game. We need to calm ourselves down, which is very fair.
It's almost like he may have lost 2 counts to the stall count, but he still had the same effect of just holstering the offense for that half a sec.
So now Espita plays it into the middle. Waiting for him there is Espita. And they get it down the line to Sokolski. Sokolski back inside. Milan gets it back to Sokolski. Sokolski looking for options. Doesn't like any of the ones he sees. Espita tries to give him one down the line. So it goes back to Hulan. Hulan just pops it straight through. Not for the score. He's right in the end zone line. Sokolski waiting for somebody to get free for him. Espita just stands there and says, no, it's fine. I got you. Will Martin throws himself across to try and cover the fake. Now that's how you get a Scoober off on a dump pass. And it's beautifully played into the corner. Smooth, comfortable stuff as Roble gets the score.
Yeah, so there you go. That's how you calmly execute off the back of a turnover. That was very nice from Tchac there.
And it was a dangerous possession as well. You could feel the fire and the spirit really starting to come back into Bologna. And those are 2 costly turnovers they've had.
Yes, indeed. So 7-3 now in this quarter-final game. I'm honestly a little bit surprised not to see more from Cusb. Like you said, they're making some errors. They're almost looking a little bit casual. They don't really... It seems like maybe they need to want it a little bit more.
I'd have to agree. Normally passion isn't a thing that you find lacking in Italians.
I know, right?
But there's just something about the way they've come out in this game. And they came out and got a break straight away. And you thought, oh, they're going to do it. They're going to knock out Tchac. They're going to do it with what is, I would say, 3/5 a training team. Maybe even as high as 5. Or yeah, I would say it's like 3/4 a training team even. There's only 5 Lafada players, 2 of which are Nubi and Marzo, who, like we were saying, have transitioned into more trainering roles, and then they've got the 2 pickups from Clapham. But apart from that, this is 051. This is the preparation team for Bologna. A very young, ambitious side. As here they try to play their way through the Tchac defense. Just taking their time. Not forcing anything. You see a couple of deep cuts coming. And there is a bit of a foul called Felici.
Oh, I think there may have been more of a strip than a foul call.
Okay. And they're just discussing it, but not using hand signals.
I think that would.
That's
that
a
would
contested.
Yeah,
that's contested. You could tell from his face.
Yes, and the body language. That was. I spoke about Volas's speed earlier on this game. He's just so rapid.
So invasive. As now that one goes out to Nudi. Nudi plays it back into the middle. And that is a tasty little dish. As Nudi launches it deep, chasing after it.
Oh,
Felici, what a grab! Right in the front corner of the end zone. And then takes a nice, easy pop in for the score. Volas really came close. That might be going back. Nope, they've given it as a score. And that's a necessary hold for Bologna.
Yes, indeed it is. I think Volas definitely made up the ground, but didn't quite have the stature to take the disc out of the air first.
Felici is a fantastic receiver. Proven there by how much faith Nudi had in him as well. That was the same third huck. To an extent, he did throw it out over the sideline ever so slightly, so Felici would be able to get a good angle onto it.
Wow, you can see the age and experience there of that disc. It just hangs perfectly. Volas going up in the inside, very, very, very close, but not quite enough.
This is the moment of truth for Bologna. We have 15 minutes left in the game. Even less, about 11 minutes left in the game. They have 3 points they need to score in order to make sure that when Johnny Cash plays, they're still involved in the matchup. They need to, they can get the turns. We know they can get the turns. They need to score some breaks. They haven't scored one since the opening point of this game.
Right, you are, Lorcan, and this is where the scheduling and that 50-minute game, the brutal way the cap works, this is when it will really start to hurt teams in the deeper end of the tournament play.
And they needed a good pull. Unfortunately, that one drifts ever so slightly out on the near sideline.
And Tchac will be more than happy to swagger that one back to the brick mark, run the clock down a little bit. But obviously not having another timeout, they can't do the mature, sensible thing of calling a timeout to run the clock further. Keep that cushion for a little bit longer.
Ah, yes, the infamous cushion.
The infamous fluffy French cushion.
Way to just sit down on a game. As Espita walks to the brick mark, being marked by Laffy. Looking around for options. That's a classic 3-4. And an immediate shot deep to Sokolski. You see Davide More just throwing his hands up. Where was the call? Where was the help? And they made that look simple, efficient. Two-pass offense. Sokolski throwing it to Abita for the score.
Oh, that was just absolutely gorgeous. Like just like a dessert dripped in.
Shall we say strolling their way off the pitch?
Indeed they are, Lorcan. No official observers in this game blowing any whistles to adjudicate the time in which the next point must start. But of course, there's no delaying of game, just some confident striding off the pitch.
And here come Bologna. Nudi picks it up, sends it into the middle. Carasini thinks about the deep shot. Nobody was going. That was entirely about pulling the Tchac zone out of position. Nudi back to Carasini. Carasini back to Nudi. The two players are stuck here on the low side, but you know will be infuriating Davide More, as he is always preaching, get to the high side, which is the side from which the wind is coming.
The strong side of the field, indeed. Don't want to get trapped at home.
Oh, and that one looked just too far away, but it was rescued from the clutches of gravity.
You know, way to stay on his feet. Mattia Marzo, with his hands outstretched, running, almost crouching towards the frisbee.
Now a disc in hand. I believe it's Trombetti. I can't quite see past Tom White. Now cutting for him. Nudi just trying to get free, and that pass was errant, might be too kind an adjective, as Bichon picks it up immediately, and that's another man who's got an awful lot of throws, but he doesn't need them as he takes the easy open side flick for the score. And you want to talk about nails in coffins? Well, I think the lid is fairly securely on this game, Hannah.
Oh, I wouldn't put it past them. It could well happen. You never know. You're going to invite the commentator's curse there, perhaps, Lorcan. But yeah, Mara's just completely free. Just poor positioning on the defense there. Had no heads up to the fact that he was right there at the front corner. The spot where all the action happens in the end zone.
An unfortunate misjudgment on the part of the Bologna O-line, and that was a break they couldn't afford to give up.
But it was all about the pressure on that swing. The mark on the handler really, really tight, both with the disc and on the dump, generating that miscued throw.
This looks a lot more like the Tchac team I expected to see at Tom's Tourney. Confident, swagger.
They're now doing their press-ups on the far sideline, which is something they were doing in the earlier stream game as well. They're now in the point where they've got such a cushion, feeling so happy that they've got time to work
They're just
on
doing
their pectoral
fitness.
muscles.
They're just doing fitness in the middle of a game. Well, I suppose in the dying embers of a game, but there's still some fire left in Bologna. Laffy with the disc. And he just rifles those flicks, but that one goes through the hands of the intended receiver, Hirmitslev. That's surprising. Those are two Lafada full team players. Oh, and immediately burning deep, but to no avail. Chevalier just trying to pull Hirmitslev out of position. He was hanging back and covering the deep, as he continues to try and do, and you got to believe he's going to be the one to get to this, as it sails over the head of the intended receiver, Guyot.
Yeah, that was a big cluster of men under that throw. Not sure it was perhaps the right option to choose. However, when you're 5 points up with a mere 6 minutes left on the clock, You can afford to do that.
So now Laffy with another look for this Bologna O-line. And here they come with that side stack, looking to isolate Hermitslav. Oh, and that was fantastic defensive pressure from Gelo.
I think there may have been a little bit too much contact though. That will be an uncontested foul.
The pickups aren't here, and again, that's what we're talking about. Stepping into those passing lanes and getting the blocks. Excellent stuff. This time it was Mollet who was able to get the decisive touch.
Yeah, brilliant heads up D with 1 minute left on the clock, almost on the nose.
So here comes Espita looking for a score, and gets one despite the best acrobatic efforts of the defense. Taken in comfortably in the end by Mollet. I do like the fact that Bologna opted to send out an entire 0-51 line to that situation, saying, look, you want back in this game, go get yourselves back in this game. We're not going to get anything by having White or Martin or Mori out here. You go get yourselves back in this game. Learn what it's like to play under this pressure. Learn what it's like to play with this kind of defeat almost creeping into your chest, this doubt starting to seep into your mind. And they did get the D initially. But again, that's just such a smart position from the Tchac defenders.
And this is what these tournaments are all about, really, look. And I mean, it's great to come to Bruges, enjoy the local life, the scenery, the beer.
Wonderful city.
Wonderful city indeed. But these games, these young players getting exposed to that scene is really, really what it's about. I mean, as much as it's great to make new connections and have fun, this is something where it doesn't impact your domestic season. It gives you the opportunity to play against those elite teams that you'll see at the UCF and the World Championships. And there we hear Johnny Cash calling time on this game. We'll have one more point.
And you really have to say that Lafada fell into a bit of a ring of fire here with Tchac and got burnt. As I thought this game would be a little bit closer. Karaseni plays it out wide. Hermitslav on the sideline, thinks about the deep shot, goes with it.
Yes.
That is arcing all the way back around. The opportunity to go out with a little bit of a bang, but Felici couldn't complete the layout grab. So now Tchac send a deep shot of their own. Dear Lord, that was pretty.
Oh!
But Hermitslav steps across, knocks it out.
I mean, we're now just devolving into a game of throws. Huck and D, Lorcan. It's all about the Huck and D.
It's all about Huck and D. Hey, I'm a huge proponent of Huck and D, which is probably one of the reasons why I'm not playing anymore. That and the fact that I'm lazy. That was a huge block as well.
Yeah. Huge
so now,
throw.
Karasini looking for a few options. Gets one on the opposite sideline. Bologna still working hard. He goes down the line. What a layout block! That was absolutely fantastic. Bichon has no off switch. Game's over. It's decided. Most of the players on the pitch have accepted that. Bichon, no. Fighting hard until the end. They're going to go for a deep shot straight away again. No, they're not. They're going to instead take the under in the form of Volast, showing his athleticism. But he doesn't. He's not afraid of a deep shot. Maybe he should have been. Trying to hit Bichon. Falls short. Hermitslav with the disc looks for options. Karasini gives him one. Karasini looking around. Nothing really becoming available to him straight away. Doesn't like everything he's seeing. Instead goes back to Hermitslav with a beautiful high release backhand. Hermitslav swings it into the middle of the pitch. As Bologna continue to look for one more score. For pride. And they send it up. It's a big one. There's a battle underneath.
Oh, and that's a disappointing drop there.
That's very unfortunate for Kochi.
Such a nice throw, such great position, and just not able to come up with
Give
the
it to
goods.
Gello. Give it to him.
Oh,
the man has worked so hard. He's thrown his body on the ground, and that is a pretty sit-up leading pass.
Hey.
Nothing you can do. Glel with the final assist, and a little bit of a clinic here, a bit of an education for the younger members of that Fada side at the hands of Tchac.
This is how you put the disc into space for galloping, strong offense up the field. Well, Lorcan, what a game that was.
What a truly fantastic game. And here's the best part. We're not done. We're not even nearly done. We've got 2 more games on both pitches coming to you, as well as a show game. And coming up next, we have the women's quarter-final, where I believe one of the teams you covered in the previous game, Mantis, who won on Universe Point, will be taking on the seemingly undefeatable Dutch under-20 women's team. No, none of them can drink in America. No, that doesn't matter. They will destroy you. They've got talent throughout, and what's even more dangerous, belief. You don't want to miss this one.
You do not. They had a tight one against Bristol earlier, so I'm really excited.
to sleep when I see you shoebox. I'm just so lonely, baby. I don't know how to remain. I just keep on talking to myself. Feels like I'm going insane. Sniffing harder and harder, staining clothes in the mud, joining hands with the joke, sweet truth under the rug. Keep one eye on the future, the other in the past. My third eye on the meaning, and my fourth on her ass. All these girls gonna kill me. Think I better make up my mind. All these girls gonna kill me. Think I better make up my mind. Isabella, don't you cry. Don't you ever think you wasted my time. For the rest of my days, I'll keep you in mind. Life's a ladder, and we both gotta climb.